everybody, welcome to this week's Racks and Tracks. If you remember right, last year I did a segment on how properly to cape a deer out. Now what I'm going to do, I had a lot of people say they wanted me to get into more detail on caping this deer and the proper distance you need to cut this hide when you're in the field so you got enough hide for the taxidermist. So in a lot of states you cannot transport this deer back into Michigan without this thing being caped out, so I'm going to show you the proper way of doing it. So follow along. Here we go. Best way to do it is you see how these legs are skinned out? They cut them at the joints and they tube them, just like that. Tube them. They cut them up to the brisket, right here, and you got all this leg on there, all this leg on there. That's what you're looking for. That's the proper way of doing it. You need to cut the back of this leg straight down if you're going to do it. If you're going to do any cuts on this leg, that's what you need to do. A lot of people come in, they got these things cut up like this, they got them cut over this way. This is gone. This is with the rest of the hide. So you need, the whole front of this brisket is what you need for a taxidermist to mount. So I fold this brisket in, chest area, make sure it's square, fold this over. Now I've got the whole neck, the legs. Now what I do is I go 4 inches back from this leg, 4 inches, and I make a straight cut. Put my foot on there so I get a good cut. Start up here, top of the back. Now you've got plenty of hide, plenty of hide. 4 inches back, make a straight cut, down. Straight to the brisket. Now I know when I open this thing up, I've got plenty of brisket all the way down for that chest mount. You've got the bottom of the legs that you're going to need. Okay, next step is we're going to take this head in and we're going to get the antlers off this head. I'm going to show you how to do that properly. Okay, here we go. Let's get started. You're in the field. You've already got your deer cut up. We've showed you how to cut the cape off it. Now the first step you're going to do, you're going to make a T-cut, and you're going to go from antler to antler and just make a straight cut, straight from antler to antler. That's all you need to do. Straight down. You'll never second guess your shot placement again. Shoot Lumenok. You'll always know where your arrow goes.
Raptor Razor brings you the most innovative knife for hunters that has ever been developed. With a revolutionary design, Raptor Razor cuts quick and clean, saving you time in the field. These knives are strong, lightweight, multifunctional, and easy to clean with easy grip, non-slip, ambidextrous handles. Raptor Razor takes field dressing to a whole new level. For more info or to find a dealer near you, visit www.raptorrazor.com.
Stop by Bunker Hill Chill and Grill in Burnups, Michigan. They have great food, plenty of big screens to watch all your favorite sports, and an outside patio that seats over 80 people for all your entertainment needs.
I take my scent control very seriously. That's why I use ScentLok. It gives me the confidence I need to get close enough to make the shot.
Here at Racks and Tracks TV, we love our Shadow Hunter blinds. They are quiet, have tons of space inside, and keep you protected from the elements. And the best part is, wildlife have no problem getting right up next to them. Check them out at shadowhunterblinds.com.
Looking for the perfect pair? Well, here it is. The Prime Bow, made by G5, and the Striker Broadhead, a match made in heaven. Okay, now you make a T-cut. You go from that cut you just made right here from antler to antler. Now you go T-cut. You go right down the center. and just do a T-cut, go right straight down his back. I like to go about 8 inches past his ears is where I like to cut, and that's called the no-sew. So when you do that, the taxidermist doesn't have to sew that thing all the way down to cape, and this is how you can cape this thing out without having to cut this thing all the way down. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, now we just made our 2 cuts we needed. Now I cleaned them cuts up. Okay, the next thing we got to do is now we just start caping that skin down a little bit, so you got a little room there. Same way with the side here. I just open that up away from the antlers a little bit. Make sure it's cut right straight to the antler. Now I'm going to show you a trick that I like to use. Now it's hard to do this in the field because you don't usually carry a screwdriver with you, but if you do have a screwdriver handy, this saves a lot of time. If you don't have a screwdriver, you need to take your knife and you actually need to start cutting around these antlers piece by piece. Make sure you don't butcher them. That's why a screwdriver comes in nice. I get it started, both ends. See how I'm cutting that up around the antler? Now if you don't have a screwdriver, you need to cut this all the way around. And I get this side started too, make a little cut there. Same with this side, so all 4 sides I'm making a little slice, and that antler is what I'm doing. Now I take a screwdriver, I'm going to take this and I shove it right around that antler and pull it. But that screwdriver usually pries it right off like that. That's all less work the taxidermy is going to have when he fixes that. So he doesn't have to fix it. Okay, see how that come right around? You pop that off. Now that one right there is totally free of that antler, and there's no cuts in it. Perfect. Now when taxidermy puts this back together again, he closes that right back up and he sews it. No cuts, no nothing. So that's the proper way of doing it. Do the same thing to this side. Like that, straight around it. Now that one's perfectly off that base with no cuts in it. See how nice that fits around there. Now you just take this and you start caping it down. All the way around the antler and down the ear. Keep following that ear down is all you gotta do. Like I said, anybody can do this. It's not rocket science. It's just be careful. Don't make cuts in the hide. The less cuts you got, the better. And any knife will work. I mean, this is a $3 paring knife. So, I mean, if you got a good hunting knife, a sharp hunting knife, you don't need an expensive knife to make this happen. You see how I'm just cutting this down. Now what you do, you take it down as far as you can. Take this ear butt and cut this ear butt. Now you want to be careful. You don't want to cut it too high, so you want to cut it down where the muscles are, the joint is. So you make a cut in that ear butt straight through. Okay, now after you cut that ear all the way through, you just take your knife and you keep right on caping. Right back to the skin again. See where I got the skin? I got the ear butt. Here's the hole. There's the whole ear right there. Now you do the same to the other side. Fairly simple. You flip the deer over. Do the same thing to this side. The ear butt. Okay, you got it down quarter ways. Same thing, just cut that ear butt right off. And there's the hole, there's the ear, and just finish caping him down. Now what I like to do is I like to cut this cape down I like guys when they bring these things in to leave a little bit of neck on there, at least 4 inches of neck, so I got a better idea on exactly the size of that neck. This really shows me. Then I'll just make my 8-inch cut down the back of him. Then I'll just finish cutting this right around his neck. And now when I get ready to sew this thing up, I only got 8 inches to sew up in the T. So you just keep working this right around now. I just tip this thing right up. And if it's a nice perfect antler, it stays there by itself, but I just finish caping this right around the neck. All the way down. Okay, when you get this thing all the way down around this neck, a lot of people hate to waste that much neck. You don't have to. I mean, you can cut this thing right where this joint is right here. You can cut this off here and keep this neck roast. I mean, you can do that. The taxidermist can still make a measurement of that neck by measuring the hide.
Why mess with flimsy hangers when you can use the Zip Start made by Slate River? They start the first time, every time.
Nelson Steel Products, located in Holland, Michigan, has been a leader in the steel fabrication industry since 1945. Specializing in steel fabrication, robotic welding, and laser cutting, Nelson Steel Products brings years of experience to their client. With strong client relations, innovative technology, and a reputation for quality, Nelson Steel has continued to grow in the industry and in your community. When it comes to finding the right partner, it stops at Nelson Steel Products. Visit NelsonSteelProducts.com to learn more. If it's made of steel, we'll make it.
Heart to Heart in Allegan and Hamilton, providing quality resale items at affordable prices. Proceeds support the Ministry of Love Inc. of Northwest Allegan County. Donations accepted at both locations.
And the fighting purrs. Okay. Now that call right there, I'll break down more gobblers with that call right there than any other call.
You want to kill a big bird this spring? Get your hands on a Quaker call.
Just got my truck serviced by Denoyer Chevrolet. That gives me the confidence to get back into the backcountry. Get your truck down, get it serviced at Denoyer's.
Nobody just gives you the title of most accurate bow on the planet. It needs to be earned. Earned by creating a parallel cam technology. Earned by uniting strength and balance. Prime defines accuracy. Prime, where accuracy is everything.
When you're hunting that trophy this fall, don't cut corners. Why cover up when you can eliminate? Use ATSCO Scent Eliminator.
Well, the hardest part is when you get up into your eyes, you want to make sure you don't cut your eyes, cut your tear ducts, that type of stuff. Okay, now we're going to get into some eyes. Now I'll show you how to do that. Alright, now the most critical part is the eyes. The eyes and around the mouth, but the eyes are the most critical. So what I like to do, I like to actually take my finger and stick it, I know it sounds gross, but stick it right in the eye socket. And that way there, when I'm cutting, I'm following along the skin, and I'm just sort of fletching this thing out as I go. And I got my finger there so I could feel the end of his eye. Which if you look at this, you can see my finger through that skin. That's what you're looking to do. You want to be able to see your finger, and you can feel that lip of his eye right there. I want to go past the lip of his eye, which is this lip right here, which would be the corner of his eyeball, what you're looking at, the very corner. Take your finger, stick it in there. You can see your finger right here. Now go down about a ½ inch all the way to the end because you've cut this skin already. Now make your cut. Now you've got all this skin right here that the taxidermist has to work with. Now you just continue skinning this right around. You hold that skin out from the eye, and you want to cut that skin. Keep it long. That's all you got to do. See how I keep the skin long? Well, that's the skin inside of the eye. That's what you need to send the taxidermist. Now you also got right below that, on an angle, you've got the tear duct. I'm going to show you after I get to the eye on how to take those tear ducts out. Same thing with this eye. Skin him out. all the way to the end. Stick your finger in there. You can feel the end of the eye. See how I did that? There's my finger. You can see my finger. I can feel the end of the eye. I'm making my cut. Now I continue pulling the skin now. I just grab a hold of this skin. See all this skin from the inside of the eye? I pull this skin and I keep it with the eye. Cut it right down to the end. Fairly simple. Now we go to the tear duct. I'm going to flip this head over so you can see it a little bit nicer. Here's the tear duct. Now there's two ways to do this tear duct. The best thing to do is the tear duct runs on an angle like this is how it sits. It doesn't sit straight with the eye, it runs on an angle. So what you want to do is take your knife and go right to the bone, the skull, and just cut right around it. Now if you wanted to, if you did have that screwdriver, that fancy screwdriver I told you about, the best way to do without cutting the tear duct is take the screwdriver, just stick it in there, and you can pop it right out. See how I just popped that right out of there? Now there's no cutting. It's gone. Now you just trim around it if you got that screwdriver. But if you don't, you just got to cut it out without cutting a hole in it. Now you keep working this down. Okay, same thing with this other side. Now I'll show you that tear duct again. You want to cut it right to where you can see the end of it there. Now I always, when I cut the tear ducts, never come from the top side either. Always come from the bottom, because that's where it's rounded. It's sharp here, you got a tendency to cut into the skin. So if you want to cut it, you cut down deep and make a cut and just skin it out. That's how you do it in the field if you ain't got a screwdriver. See, the same thing. Don't cut it off. And you just skin him down. Not a lot to it, but if you've never done one, you know what I'm saying? Okay, now what you do, after you get the eyes done, you got your tear duct all cleaned out, you just continue skinning this down. Now there's two ways of doing this. The easiest way for me that I find is I just skin this thing down until I get to about where the mouth is, the part of the mouth, back of the mouth. The same on this side, once I get to about where I think it is. Now you can skin him, keep skinning him down, but it's a lot harder that way. How I like to do it is I like to flip him back over, see his mouth. Now I like to make my cuts inside of his mouth. I take my knife. Now what a taxidermist needs is about a 1/4 inch from this hairline of skin to tuck into the mouth when he does his taxidermy work. So it's all you got to do is bring your knife in here and cut about a 1/2 inch out. Cut this here right tight up to the top of the jaw, all the way around. See how I open that right up? Keep right on going around. Cut it down, all the way down into his mouth. Now you can take this, see how it's all opened up? Now you can pull this nose back and make your cut right there in between your nose. Now here's your holes, your opening to your nose. Just cut that right straight down. And what you're looking for is once you make that cut, you've got all this nose here that you don't need. So what you do is you bend this over and you make a cut right straight across that nose. See how I cut that cartilage? Right off. Now I've got that cartilage separated from the head. So now I just make my cuts all the way around. You ain't got to be real picky with this. The taxidermist will take care of all this cartilage. That's all you want to do is get him off the head. Now you just skin him down just like you would normally. Just take this right off. Now I personally get a little bit more pickier with it. I like to cut the skin or the fat till I see the skin. And that's all the less work that I've got to do when I skin him out, but you ain't got to worry about that. Okay, so anyhow, continue around, keep cutting that off. Just like that. Now you do the same thing to the bottom jaw. Reach in here, make your cut you need. See how I made that cut? I put my fingers behind that so I know I'm not cutting through. I take about a ½ inch of hide or lip, and I just keep cutting all the way around. Just like that. Now I follow this right around the front, just like this. Just keep following it. Keep skimming down. Make my cut here. I want a ½ inch cut. I got my fingers behind the hide so I'm not cutting through. See how I just cut that all the way to the hide? To the hide. That's it. And you just continue cutting this down until you meet or you come up the other way. Just like that. Now you take the hide and pull him off the head. There he is. Okay, now that's the hard part. Now you can take this hide, roll him all up, stick him in a cooler, pack some ice on him, and you can take him back to wherever you gotta go. Now, I'm gonna show you what you need to do to transport this head across lines. What you need to do is you make an insert, cut. On that angle, I go 3/4 of an inch down and I make my insert right there. Now I'm going to do this. You can do it with a meat saw, you can do it with anything you got. Preferably you carry a meat saw with you if you got one. Do it with a meat saw, sawzall. I use a sawzall. Another thing I forgot to show you is I like to make a clean of all this meat off this ear base. I cut that down out of my way. Like that. You cut this from here down out of my way. Okay, then I make one cut right behind the skull, right where the meat and skull line hits. I make a cut right there because that's where my final cut is going to go, right in there. So I just like to clean that out a little bit so my saw don't get tangled up with that meat. Like that. Okay, I like to pick my line 3/4 of the way from the antlers. Make it a straight line. Now when you cut this, don't cut this all the way through. Cut it down about an inch, inch and a half, just behind the eye and straight down underneath the eye. Stop it there. Now you can take your head and tip your head up on an angle. Like this. You can see this. Now that's why I made that cut behind the head. See how I made that? See how I made that cut right there? Now I take a straight line from this line straight down like this. What I'm doing, I'm making that cut from behind the head. A lot of guys will take their saw, they'll cut it off here. You don't want to do that. That's not the proper way of doing it. Now I'll take this cut about an inch down the skull, and I'm going to draw a straight line down to his eyeball, where I'm heading towards his eyeball. Now there's your head. Now what you're looking for, now you just need to take your knife, clean this whole system up, pair of pliers. This membrane in here is what you need to pull out of your deer. See that membrane in there? You pull that out of there. That makes this skull clean to transfer. This is actually what it looks like when it's cleaned off. There's my cut. There's my cut across the back, straight down. I cleaned all that out of there. It's all clean. And I just take that and I salt that, put a little salt on it, and it's ready to go. Now you can cross the border with that right there with no problem. So Well, I sure hope you enjoyed today's show as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Until next week, I'm Ray Colvin, and we'll see you right here on Racks and Tracks.
Racks and Tracks is proud to be sponsored by these fine products.